and foremost, I want to formally thank you so much, my dear friend, for joining PredictX on this tea time. We are wanting to talk to our customers and our shared suppliers about all things around COVID and the return to travel. So first and foremost, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Pleased to do it.
So secondly, I did challenge you a little bit when it came to the official tea time.
Yep.
Now, my mug, just so you know, in honor of the beach, is all oysters, and it says, literally, the world is your oyster. So in honor of you and Delta, I did my oyster cup.
Well, thank you. That's cool. I have mine, if you can read it. Mine says, I'm trying to be awesome today, but I'm exhausted from being so freaking awesome yesterday. So it reminds me in this day and time that you have to be awesome every day, regardless of your situation that's around you. And I have a bunch of other ones, but half of my coffee mugs are not clean to share in public, so I couldn't share them with you. But it's the best I could do on short notice.
Yeah. So let's talk about your priorities. I know they've shifted pretty dramatically since all this started. What are your top three priorities right now, Bob?
Yeah, it's when this started, and I think back, it's so amazing how fast this escalated and how fast it went from point A to point B. I always use mile markers for me. And when this started early March, frankly, I mean, you think about China was when it started in Wuhan.
Right.
And then I remember distinctly talking to our customers about not to worry, we're going to move our planes out of Asia. We're going to move them into the transatlantic. So we pulled all of our planes out. That was supposed to be a comfort level. And now, within 2 weeks after that, it wasn't just an Asia situation. It was a global pandemic. And it moved so quickly. So what we had to do is set up shop immediately. Our playbook was centered around three things: safety and cleanliness, cash preservation, and building for the future. Those are the three things that our CEO put out very early so that we could all build around it. We have a flight plan that's out the window. That was thrown out because it's revenue-based, it's market-based, it's NPS-based. And a lot of those things were still important, but wasn't the priority. So if you think about safety, security, and being clean, that became overnight the most important thing you could do. And so that's why you saw we did our first video on March 5th. And it was a a video talking about 5 parts. We had no idea what was coming. We just knew that we thought safety and cleanliness was going to be a differentiator, and we were going to have to build confidence in our employees. So we did things like, just the focus that we put out there. And by the way, internally and externally, our employees' safety and our employees' well-being was as important, if not more important, because without their safety, they can't take care of our customers, whatever was going to happen. So obviously that was where we built that. And the external part about safety and cleanliness was more about building consumer confidence. That was the key, and making sure that we were on top of it. Second, cash preservation is really, we want to stay in a business. It was unprecedented what was happening, how fast it happened. And like we talked about, the decline was much worse. If you think about February 14th, we were handing out $1.6 billion worth of profit sharing check. 3 weeks later, we were burning $100 million in cash a day. So that's how fast that happened. And that window right there about how quickly it happened. And so we're just trying to, cash preservation is about staying in business for your employees and your customers. And obviously that leads to the questions like, what are we going to be when we come back? The culture, the building for the future. We will be changed for a long time. Delta will not be the same when we come out of this as we were 6 months, 8 months ago. This industry won't be the same. We have publicly said, our CEO said it'll be 2 to 3 years before we see the demand that we saw a year ago or the last 3 or 4 years. We'll be a smaller airline. Our domestic international footprint will be different. So how can we build for the future to be sustainable and build for the storm that we're all going to have to weather? And then obviously you hit on it first. The other thing that we've been focused on is the culture of Delta and how we use that as a differentiator. How do we use that as a differentiator? We believe our people are our biggest differentiator, and using our people to help through this pandemic and through this situation that we're dealing with was going to be paramount.